Here's something that might sound wrong. The most productive people on earth are not more motivated than you. They're not more disciplined. They don't wake up at 5 a.m. feeling inspired. The difference is something much simpler, and most people never figure it out. Because everything you've been told about productivity, the planners, the timers, the cold showers, it's all fighting against your brain. And your brain always wins. Most productivity systems fail, not because people are lazy, but because they're built on a flawed assumption that the problem is motivation. It's not. The real problem is your brain. Your brain is a 100 billion neuron system that evolved over millions of years with one primary goal: conserve energy. And effort, any kind of effort, is a threat to that goal. So every time you sit down to work, your brain doesn't cheer you on. It pushes back, quietly, invisibly, through distraction, procrastination, and that voice that says, maybe later. In this video, we're going to look at the 5 things your brain actually does when you try to be productive, and exactly how to use each one to your advantage. Most productivity systems fail, not because people are lazy, but because they're built on a flawed assumption that the problem is motivation. It's not. The real problem is your brain. Your brain is a 100 billion neuron system that evolved over millions of years with one primary goal: conserve energy. And effort, any kind of effort, is a threat to that goal. So every time you sit down to work, your brain doesn't cheer you on. It pushes back, quietly, invisibly, through distraction, procrastination, and that voice that says, maybe later. In this video, we're going to look at the 5 things your brain actually does when you try to be productive, and exactly how to use each one to your advantage. Welcome to Intellor. If you're interested in intelligent psychology, philosophy, science, economics, and history, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing, and if you enjoy this video, feel free to like and share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's begin. Here's the first thing your brain does. Scientists call it cognitive load. We'll call it the effort tax. Every task you attempt costs mental energy, even before you start. Just thinking about starting a difficult task activates the same brain regions associated with physical pain. A 2011 study from the University of Michigan found that people unconsciously avoid tasks the moment they sense high effort, not when the work gets hard, but before they even begin. So when you open your laptop and feel that sudden urge to check your phone instead, that's not laziness. That's your brain paying the effort tax before it decides whether the task is worth it. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. Make the task smaller than your brain expects. Not to 5 hours of work. 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, 1 minute. Because once you start, and neuroscience confirms this, the Zeigarnik effect kicks in. Your brain becomes more uncomfortable with stopping than continuing. Starting is the only hard part. Most people think dopamine is the reward chemical. You do something good, dopamine releases, you feel pleasure. Simple, but that's not what dopamine actually does. And the truth changes everything. Dopamine isn't released when you get the reward. It's released when you anticipate it, when you expect something good is coming. This is why social media is so addictive. Your brain doesn't get a dopamine hit when you find something interesting. It gets the hit every time you scroll, because something interesting might be there. Productive people use this mechanism deliberately. They make the anticipation of completing work feel more exciting than the alternative. How? By building what researchers call implementation intentions. Instead of saying, I'll work on my project today, you say, at 10 a.m., I will sit at my desk and write for 20 minutes. The specificity alone increases follow-through by up to 300%, according to a study published in the British Journal of Health Psychology. Specificity triggers anticipation. Anticipation triggers dopamine. Dopamine drives action. Stay with me, because the next one is the one most people get completely backwards. Your brain has a productivity sweet spot. Not too easy, not too hard, exactly challenging enough. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the man who spent 40 years studying peak performance, called this flow. And here's what he found: flow is not a personality trait, it's a neurological condition. And you can engineer it. When a task is too easy, your brain disengages. Too hard, it panics and shuts down. But in the Goldilocks zone, roughly 4% harder than your current skill level, your brain locks in. This is why the most productive people constantly adjust their tasks, not just in difficulty, but in framing. A boring spreadsheet becomes a challenge. Can I finish this in 15 minutes? A difficult essay becomes a game. Can I write without stopping for 10 minutes straight? The task doesn't change. The brain's relationship to it does. If this kind of thinking interests you, make sure you subscribe. We break down the science of the mind every week in a way that's actually useful. Every decision you make today costs something, not money. Mental energy. Researchers at Stanford found that the quality of decisions made by judges, doctors, and executives drops dramatically as the day goes on, not because they get less intelligent, but because decision-making drains the same neural resources you need for focused work. This is called decision fatigue, and it explains why you can work brilliantly for 2 hours in the morning, then spend 3 hours rearranging your desk and calling it productivity. The solution: reduce the number of decisions your future self has to make. Plan your work the night before. Wear similar clothes. Eat the same breakfast. Have a fixed work location. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Obama limited his wardrobe. They weren't lazy, they were protecting their decision budget. Every small decision you eliminate is more mental fuel for the work that actually matters. This is the most powerful one, and it requires the least effort. Willpower is unreliable. It fluctuates with sleep, hunger, stress, and time of day. Designing your environment does not. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this an environment design. The idea is simple: your behavior is shaped more by what's around you than what's inside your head. If your phone is on your desk, you will look at it, not because you're weak, but because your brain responds to cues automatically. Remove the cue, remove the behavior. In a study at Google, researchers found that simply moving candy from visible bowls to opaque containers reduced candy consumption by 3.1 million calories across the company in 1 month. No one made a rule. No one used willpower. The environment changed, the behavior followed. So before your next work session, phone in another room. Notifications off. One tab open. Water nearby. Make productivity the path of least resistance, and your brain will take it. Let's bring this together. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to Intellor for more insights on intelligent psychology, philosophy, science, economics, and history. Let me know in the comments which part interested you the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.